Last week, at some point during Thursday, Apple, which they'd warned us about this, but they just went through, the Apple Store went down briefly, and then it came back up, and there were a bunch of new prices for basically all of their products, almost every single hardware product that they sell.
Is this like the top 3 worst Apple Store went down scenarios?
Dude, the tweets were so funny. It was like, Apple Store's down. What are they cooking? What's coming next? And then there's just like tweets right above it of like, price store hikes, all the different changes.
It's back. Yeah, the store comes back live, and base prices, upgrade prices, tons of prices for all the different products that they sell have gone up. iPhone prices, notably, are unchanged. That was one thing that people were thinking would go up. But the things that did go up are Macs, iPads, Apple TVs, HomePods, Vision Pros. Across the board, prices are all higher. Now, I looked at these price increases, and they're kind of interesting. They're kind of spread out across the board. Some of them I mentioned on Twitter. Some of them are higher than I expected them to be. Some of them are lower than I expected them to be. We know that the price increases are because of the RAM shortages and just how expensive it is to put memory in anything these days. And some of these products do have a lot of memory and some of them don't. But that does not seem to directly correlate with how high the price went up. Mm-hmm. It seems like more about, well, sort of an efficient balance. Maybe this is a Tim Cook thing of some products are higher volume and the price didn't go up as much. Some prices are lower volume, but the price went up more. Some prices went up, I think, more than they had to in order to make up for other prices not going up as much as they could.
Would you say it's the opposite of higher volume possibly went up higher? Because like the one that sticks out here, right? Like there's some big ones. There's the M3 Ultra Max Studio went from $4,000 to $5,300. So $1,300 price increase.
Yep.
We saw the M4 Max Studio $2,000, $2,500, $500. That's crazy. Vision Pro only went up $200.
Yeah. So
that has to be because it's flopping so hard. No one's going to spend an extra $1,000, or obviously like compute, right?
Yeah.
It's like a compute thing.
I think there's a lot of factors. I think Vision Pro is already priced really high, and the $200 extra might be fine to cover that, but also maybe if it was $4,000, that would look really bad. Like there's optics they have to consider, there's supply chain stuff they have to consider. Also, yes, Vision Pro is not selling very much, so maybe the price increase there doesn't do much for them. Whereas something like the MacBook Neo, which they're doing a ton of volume of, goes from $599 starting to $699 starting, which means it's no longer like the crazy flaming good deal that it just was. It's still a pretty good deal. But that $100 per unit will probably go further than the $200 per unit on the Vision Pro because the volume is totally different.
Also with things like the Mac Studio, like the M3, what was the Ultra that went up by $1,300. I feel like people buying that's like a business expense. Like people doing that expect to be making their money back somehow by using the professional workflows with that. So they're willing, like Apple's like, those people will spend a little more and it's fine.
And I think it was also pretty obvious we were going to see those specific price increases because Mac Mini was it in March or May already got a price increase because we were seeing them sold out everywhere because of how the like compute to price ratio of what they are.
Yep.
So like this kind of, I mean, I think this obviously all comes down to compute again. It kind of reminds me of how we were talking about Steam Machine, where like if you price something and subsidize it to where you're giving such good bang for your buck of just pure power in this RAM shortage, you're probably going to eat it because people are going to take it and use it for machine learning and not necessarily all the things that you make money off of. So that's one of the things I was wondering here is like, does Apple see these price increases as like, what is our best chance of people still buying the products, but buying the products to use them as actual personal products, not AI machines? Because Apple clearly is making plenty of money on hardware, but they're also making a ton of money on subscriptions and software and people physically using the products.
That's a commentary I've seen a lot is Apple's already been making a ton of money. Why do they have to increase prices at all? Why can't they just eat this? But one, I think the memory shortages and the price increases we've seen are pretty unprecedented. I don't know what Apple's supply costs are, but I feel like they just decided, along with a lot of other companies, we have to raise prices. But yeah, I don't know if they're thinking so much about what people are doing with the machines. I don't think they have much control over that. I think it's more just what do we think is a reasonably acceptable price increase for the target demographic of the product. Some other ones that stood out to me were iPad Air goes from $599 to $749 for the 11-inch iPad Air. that's a different price bracket to me. It feels like $599 was like, all right, I can stomach this. This feels like I'm not going to get an iPad Pro, but I could get this nice mid-price iPad Air. Now $749 starting is quite a big difference there. That doesn't feel like a good deal anymore.
Yeah, the iPad Air went up more than the MacBook Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's $150 extra there. Something like an Apple TV.
This is my favorite one.
The Apple TV was $129. They were selling that box. Now it's $199. That is a pretty, I think percentage-wise, might be the highest increase. That's close to like a 40% increase or something like that. That's pretty big. That's a totally different price bracket as well. HomePods, though, not a lot of people buying HomePods. HomePods are already expensive. The regular HomePod goes from $299 to $349, and the HomePod Mini goes from $99 to $129. So some smaller, some bigger, just kind of a lot across the board to consider. And I'm sure the supply chain meetings to decide all these new prices were super exciting. Or maybe it's just Tim Cook with a spreadsheet just walking around going, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Why does the Apple TV need to go up at all?
I don't know.
That was
Why
another
does
question.
HomePod need to go up at all?
It's for all the people that are using local AI on their Apple TV, right?
I think that's another thing that people noticed is a lot of these products that don't have very much RAM at all were going up in price when they feel like they didn't have to, which I agree. But then a lot of the products that did have a ton of RAM were not going up as much as they feel like they could have. So I think some of these price increases are literally to subsidize other lack of price increases, if that makes any sense.
I also want to note that saying everything we've said so far does not mean they had to make price changes, does not mean that the price changes are clearly not for Apple to make more money. We all agree with that. There's just like the reasons why they're making more money.
Yeah.
They're still $1 trillion
gonna make
company
tons of money.
that wants to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So obviously that's why they did it. I think it's interesting to see what their reasonings were for things and how they were, because this is just like such a broad or all over the place in terms of where they increase prices. Yeah.
So the number
Apple TV,
one,
$70 is crazy.
that is a big one percentage wise. The question I've seen the most chatter about on social media is, are these permanent or temporary price increases? And I have my thoughts. I actually believe that they are temporary, but I do see valid on both sides. I see both sides of this argument. I'll explain why I think they're temporary. I think a lot of the conversation, and we haven't gotten very many quotes from Apple, but a lot of the talk about these memory price increases has been like, this is unprecedented. We've literally never seen anything like this before. Our hand has been forced. This is like a spike in pricing. This is not how we want to continue to sell our products. We want to get back to eventually regular pricing someday, which all to me kind of implies like, we are raising prices here as long as this memory shortage / AI data center boom is happening. And then once it's finally slowed, then we would love to go back down to regular prices, which is, a good way to market as well. But I think the other thing people are saying a lot of is, yeah, these are greedy tech companies. Of course, they're going to leave the prices.
Not just tech. There's plenty of greedy companies all over the place. That's just how it goes. Yeah.
They're making tons of money, and if they aren't like negatively impacted too much by raising the prices, why raise them? Why lower them back down again? And I see both sides of it. I kind of see it as like gas prices. It's like very closely tied to supply and demand, and if demand goes too far down, they can't leave the prices this high, especially if other competitors start lowering prices again. So I would like to be right and say that they will bring prices down at some point, months / years into the future, but who knows?
History probably doesn't seem to be on that side.
I don't know.
Not a lot of examples of things going up and coming back down when they see they're still selling.
So there's a couple interesting examples there, and I used the price of gas as an example because like gas did spike. One. And then it like has started coming down, but it is more of a commodity. But we've seen some products once in a while, like the Quest, go down in price again. We've seen occasionally a smartphone model will go down in price again.
When did
Quest didn't go up.
Quest did go up.
Until it did. But I'm talking about older devices. Okay. Older devices.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of like phones that dropped in price by like $50 to $100. Wasn't there Well, I guess the iPhone doubled in storage but didn't go up in price. So like things happen sometimes where you're like, oh, I could see them increasing the price, but then they don't. So I don't know. There's not that many precedents for price spike and then price drop again. I haven't really seen
I think my most optimistic assumption is I don't think any of these prices change on these specific items. I think maybe when new versions of them come out, we could either see, depending on the global economics of what compute like pricing is, they go back to their normal, or we see them doing the game of like, now the Mac Neo 2 starts at $699, but starts at a higher storage or whatever. Like, and that's our like, this is higher. It's still a higher base barrier of entry, but we have more compute in it, or like it's a more powerful machine. Therefore, it's worth that price increase. When probably really could have went back down to the other one. I don't know. That's like the capitalist way of going back, but not really going back.
I don't see this going down at all.
Really, just New Jersey.
Yeah, David
did it by the first.
Early, and you still get in half an hour late.
Welcome.
New Jersey is New Jersey.
It's definitely just New Jersey and not New York City.
Yeah, it's not like a World Cup or anything.
Yeah, definitely never traffic in New York City.
Well, hey, at least the New York City traffic is generally predictably bad.
Welcome,
Jersey's
David.
like, are you in hell or are you in hell plus plus?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that these prices are. We're talking about Apple prices, by the way. The Apple prices going up for context.
Yep.
I don't think they're going back down, just because. Well, one, if it is temporary, it's temporary for a while. Like it's going to be a minute because of how everything is right now. It's not like temporary for another month or two. This is like, it's looking like a year or two more so.
Like
And then-
cycles.
like it's going to be a while. And then on top of that, everywhere else in the world, technology is fairly expensive. The United States has been pretty like hidden from those costs for a long time. And I think that like barrier is kind of coming down now.
I also think probably one of the best arguments that prices will stay and only continue to go up is just inflationary. Like if this lasts years, then by the time the crisis or whatever you want to call it is over, that's just the way, that's just the new norm, I guess is the phrase people keep using. Like the prices of everything have gone up and now the Neo is $699 and that's just the way it is.
Crazy we made that video like a couple of months ago and it's already completely different.
Yeah, that was the sentiment is like, remember that 3 or 4 months when Apple had several of the best priced pieces of tech in the world? That was fun.
I felt bad for Quinn at Snazzy Labs because he just made a video a month ago about how like the whole premise of Apple devices being more expensive than their competitors is just completely gone now.
It was. He was correct briefly.
For a moment in time.
And now here we are.
For a beautiful moment in time.
There was a long time when Apple things were just regularly priced. And now they're going back to being expensive.
Yeah, some of these MacBooks, oh my God, they added like $1,200, $1,400 to the pricing. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And memory increases. So we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, other companies are probably going to be increasing prices of tech as well. This also makes me think that folding iPhone, when it launches later this year, is not going to be cheap. Not going to be cheap.
That thing was already going to be like $2,100. Now it's going to be like $2,600 or something.
We can probably rewind and find an old podcast episode where we were debating if it was over or under 2,000. I think it's definitely over 2,000.
Oh, it's 100% over 2,000.
Okay, question for you guys then. And David, this is perfect because you just got here, so you need no other context.
Okay.
Do you think these price increases are going to hit iPhone? Will it be the same price as last year's iPhone, or will they all be $150?
They could
more
do the
expensive?
little magic that they do where they just get rid of the bottom tier.
That's pretty
the
much what I just
storage.
said. Like the new version of things are going to be like the more expensive price, but a little higher in power, so that will be their excuse when really.
Yeah. What's
But
kind
even
of
for iPhone?
well, it's kind of hard
for
because
iPhones,
they
sorry.
already cut the lower storage tiers from the iPhone, right? Because that was your whole thing was that Google was still offering low storage phones and Apple wasn't.
Well, it was that
same price.
their lower tiers got better instead of cutting. Google cut their lower tier,
But
right?
now
Well, the iPhone 17 had doubled the base storage to 128 and didn't go up in price.
Yeah.
So they got rid of the lower storage tier and they kept the price the same, which is good.
Yeah, I guess when I think of it, I think of the price tier. When I think of lower tier, I think the lower price tier. So in my eyes, Google just upgraded the lowest tier, Apple upgraded the lowest tier where Google got rid of the lowest tier, which
Right.
then made the lowest tier more expensive.
Right.
Right.
I tend to think this kind of goes along with the rest of the price increases, which are sort of all across the board. I think Apple realizes they can't increase the price of certain things by too much And I think the iPhone is one of the things that they know they don't want to have dramatic price increases on. So I think they're willing to do bigger price increases on other things to keep the iPhone competitively priced. I still think that Ultra, that folding one, is going to be expensive, but I think the base iPhone 18 and 18 Plus, for example, will probably not be $100 more expensive.
Yeah, it's hard because they're already at 56 gigs for the base tier.
Okay, 256.
They moved it to 256.
Yeah, I hope I don't
can't-
eat my words.
They can't cut that and only offer a 512 gigabyte iPhone.
So you think next iPhone will still be $799? The iPhone 18.
I don't know if it'll be $799, but I don't think it'll be $999. I don't think it'll be
Base.
some
I
dramatic,
can see it.
huge increase.
I could see 849.
I don't think any subsidizing any of these things on this list will make up for what they would lose in the iPhones on keeping it the same price. They just sell way too many iPhones. The $70 Apple TV change isn't going to cover.
That's true.
The things that they should really be pushing the price on are the things that like businesses and enterprise use, like the Mac Studio and
Which they did.
Yeah,
That's
but
what-
they very much did. But even the MacBook Pro, I mean, regular people still buy MacBook Pros and they still jack the price a lot. So I feel like the cheaper things like the Neo and the MacBook Air, they should be trying to keep as low as possible. Obviously, the Neo, they had to try to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to even see a HomePod Mini price increase just because there's a little bit of RAM in there. Just
A little
so it
bit.
can do something.
It's like copper.
A little bit of RAM.
I just bought an M5 Max full spec 128 8 terabyte about 2 months ago.
Oh my God.
That would have been.
And I was saying, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this computer in a year.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It's fair.
I hope I can. I hope it comes back down, but it won't.
Yeah, they're supposed to release the MacBook Ultra at the end of the year. And I was like, I'm just going to hold out for the Ultra because it's going to be so different. You know, it's going to have a better screen and all this stuff. Now I'm like,
That's going to be
I don't even
so
know if that's-
expensive.
that might be a $7,000 to $8,000 baseline computer.
Base, you think?
No,
I mean, six.
I think it's, I think
Six
six
base?
something base. Yeah.
Yeah, but for any upgrades, it's going to be.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's an expensive
Yeah.
computer.
That laptop, if you give it some RAM, is probably going to be over 10K. It's going to be insane.
So if you want to max out a MacBook Pro now, it's getting up there.
Yeah.
It's getting up there now. But yeah, this is, new screen, new design, all this new stuff. It could be pretty spicy.
Yeah, and that kind of feeds into the whole rumor that they're basically going to release the MacBook Ultra with an M5 Ultra chip, right?
Or an
sorry.
Ultra chip?
Was it that, or was it the M6?
I think it was the M6.
M6, because I'm trying to remember what it was.
I think the rumor I
was
think the rumor I've seen now is they're going to have an M6 and then skip all the higher tier versions of M6 and then M7 every version again
So the MacBook Ultra will come out next year now
with M7
with M7.
Pro.
That could make sense. So maybe the reason
the
they're
whiteboard out.
maybe one of the reasons they're doing that is because they are hoping that within the next year and a half, the RAM crisis kind of peters out a little bit, and that way they don't charge $10,000 for a MacBook Ultra. Like they might scare the market a lot if they released a MacBook Ultra starting at $6,500.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
this
think
is
the base MacBook Ultra is going to be $6,500?
I mean, it could be.
It's got to be high.
it's
gotta
going to
be
be
up there.
It in
5K
itself is basically
6,000.
saying like, let's start towards the top of a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Like start.
Right.
I think the base version is going to be really powerful.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 9to5 Mac article, and there's a couple people sourcing this, but basically from Bloomberg saying Apple will skip M6 Pro and M6 Max. It'll just be the base M6. So the stuff that gets the base chip can get M6. And then they'll start over with M7 by doing the whole lineup again. M7, Pro, Max, Ultra, all that stuff.
It's crazy.
even when you name things easily, they're impossible to follow. This M series chip is really hard to understand.
I've been waiting for a new Ultra chip in a Mac for so long. They stopped at M3 Ultra and the Mac Pro and the Mac Studio. But then M4 happened, no Ultra. M5 happened, no Ultra. M6 is going to happen, no Ultra.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be waiting till M7 Ultra for a new Ultra chip. That's crazy.
That's why it's funny seeing the M3 Ultra price increase being so much more than the M4 because of how confusing that is.
Maybe they'll do an M5 Ultra.
I don't know. It seems like they're holding back on the more powerful stuff, right? If they're not planning on doing M6 Pro or M6 Max.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember seeing this also on Twitter because there's also rumors of an M5 Ultra coming out with up to 768 gigs of memory.
Oh, right.
And everyone went, "Oh, that computer is going to be
You could buy a house instead.
really expensive."
Yeah.
How expensive? I'm going to just throw out a guess just to make myself look stupid.
Only Sam could afford
768 gigs of memory.
That's
that computer is going to be
obscene.
$9,500.
Probably more. I think it could break the 10K barrier.
No way. That's like 18,000.
It's going to
If
be
you spec
really-
it that high, like somewhere between
That much
like
RAM is obscene.
15 to 18,000, I bet.
Let me look at the Mac Studio pricing right now. But yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
My conspiracy theory, which we probably shouldn't talk about conspiracy theories on this podcast, is that OpenAI and Anthropic are intentionally having the RAM crisis happen because open sourced AI models are getting more and more popular, especially running on Mac hardware. And if it's affordable to buy enough RAM to run your own AI models, you don't have to use OpenAI or Anthropic for your AI stuff.
This is a really compelling
I'm
conspiracy.
just saying. So you have to go to the model providers
what you're
because it's like,
saying right now.
only $20 a month as opposed to 796 gigabytes of RAM.
I think you're onto something.
Without checking
You should keep your
Apple.com,
voice down.
without checking Apple.com, if you want to buy the most powerful, most expensive Mac Studio with just 96 gigs of memory and 16 terabytes of storage, how much do you think that would cost today?
Today. 12K. Is it over 10? Is
I
it
don't know
12?
those prices at all. The most powerful
M3 Ultra,
M3 Ultra 90.
12K.
14,000.
God, I was actually gonna say you can't check.
You
the
did
tape.
start to say.
I started saying
I did see that.
14 million.
$14,299 for that computer today. So if you're thinking M5
Yeah.
Ultra
Yeah.
with 768 gigs of memory, that's going to be really expensive.
That's what I said. What I said.
Oh.
W2 or M5 Ultra.
Not to give Apple like too much credit here, but remember when we used to buy Mac Studios for $50,000 each?
It was the Mac Pros.
The Mac Pros.
The Intel Mac Pros.
Intel Mac, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry. Remember when we used to buy the Intel Mac Pros for $50,000 each?
Speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, not we, the company. But now, we got so used to the price being so much cheaper for so much more performance.
For unified memory. Yeah.
Still, nobody should buy a $14,000 computer, generally. Yeah,
How will I make my TikTok videos?
that's true.
Yeah, this is the thing now.
true.
If you are capable of doing the work, like I've found that the amount of computer I need to buy to edit the videos that I make has gone down over the years. Especially when you consider how expensive that Mac Pro was. We had $40,000 specs on the Intel Mac Pro and those AMD Radeon GPUs and Vega GPUs and a ton of memory. When those were $40K, then I started going down to a Mac Studio and then down to a MacBook Pro. I've been editing videos on this MacBook Pro, which costs less than $8,000, which is expensive, but compared to $40,000, it's like reverse inflation for how much I have to spend to edit. So I'm pretty excited to continue to spend less.
Well,
on
don't get too
computers.
excited because
I'm just going to edit on this. I'm going to edit on this as long as I can.
Continue to spend less by not spending anything.
Exactly.
I'm also curious to see how the competitors respond to this because just recently, Dell and a couple other companies came out with their MacBook Neo competitor devices.
Yeah, XPS 13.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And are they going to raise their prices? Are they going to eat it? Because Apple's the most well-positioned to actually eat all of these prices.
I'm very curious, and I fully expect them to. I think the more volume you do, the more insulated you are because of your order sizes, etc. So I assume XPS 13 is selling less than MacBook Neo,
By a lot.
and therefore is more likely to require a larger price increase unless Dell is willing to subsidize it by increasing other things.
Which I just don't think they will.
Yeah,
I really don't think they will.
I think that's due for a price increase as well.
Yeah. They don't have like 12 different products that they can just slightly update the price on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll see.
All right. Well,
We'll see.
I'm sorry to everybody who didn't buy a new computer yet.
So here's the thing. You just watched a clip, and I have no idea what I'm about to say, so this is totally off the dome.
Damn.
We really hope that you subscribe to the Clips channel, but also in doing that, you demonstrate to the algorithm that you're interested in more of Waveform, upon which it will recognize that it should start sending you full episodes, and then you watch those too.
GTA 6, GTA 6.
If you think Steam Machine is too expensive, press subscribe.
GTA 6.
Damn,
Algorithm.
that was smart.
We just cooked.